have a seat, kick back, relax. It's the PCFF podcast. It is back, ladies and gentlemen. Our draft wrap-up edition of the PCFF podcast. What a great draft day it was. First of all, thank you for tuning in once again to the PCFF podcast. Today's show is all about wrapping up the 2011 PCFF draft, as we'll hear from some of the league owners about a pick that they made last Saturday. I'll give a very quick overview of the DC draft, and we'll open up the mailbag for the first time on the PCFF podcast, so looking forward to that as well. But let me go ahead and get started by saying what a great draft day it was. Tons of great food. The wings were phenomenal. The sausage was top-notch. I even had a shrimp or two following the draft. So just tons of great food. And, boy, the veggie tray out of this world. A big thank you to my lovely wife, Judy, for putting together that display of vegetable goodness. It was a lot of fun to see 8 out of the 10 owners there. Had a lot of fun reconnecting with guys like old Chuck, Charlie, the Cleveland K9 owner. Hadn't talked to Mr. Langston in a while. Don't see Mr. Letchworth too often, so it's great to see the guys get together. And also, good job to Jameson and Gary for connecting on the phone. I thought things went pretty smooth, about as smooth as they could go without all the owners in the household. So a great draft, great job by the commissioners, great job by all the league owners. I had another fun day. Can't wait until next year's draft day because it really is one of the best days of the year. I also have to give major kudos to Matt Hager for voting with league owners in the new rule change. The keepers will go from 6 to 5 beginning in 2012. And I thought Matt, voting with the league, showed tons of integrity. He could have easily voted to stay at 6 keepers, which everybody knows he wanted to do, but he looked out for what the majority of league owners want, and you got to give Matt tons of credit for that. And who knows, we may see a revote in 2013. It could go back to 6 keepers. It could go to 10. Could drop to 2, who knows, but we are in a democracy in the PCFF, and the owners have the say, so as long as you get that 7 votes, that majority, you will have a rule change in the PCFF, and who knows what's going to happen with the future of keepers, but it looks like right now, starting in 2012, we will indeed have 5 keepers. Now, on to the draft itself. Me personally, I was glad that Ahmad Bradshaw was sitting out there at 4. I went over tons and tons of options. I talked trades with 3 or 4 different teams. I will say Bradshaw was the guy I wanted. I also, at some point during this offseason, wanted Javid Best, wanted Noshawn Moreno, wanted Felix Jones, wanted to trade back and possibly get Mark Ingram in the same spot he was selected in the first round. But Ahmad Bradshaw was my guy. I got him, so I'll roll with him and see how he can do with fumble and injury problems in the past. Hopefully he can avoid those. I was glad that Santana was available when I picked him. He will play right away. He will start in the DC lineup week 1, and took a flyer on Ryan Williams. I told my wife before I left the house Saturday that I was in love with Ryan Williams. I didn't want anyone else to have him. Might have taken him a little early, but I know some other owners wanted him, so I was glad to get Ryan Williams when I did. And if the Tennessee 39ers win a championship thanks to Julio Jones, you can probably blame me for that. Matt traded up with me to get Julio Jones, and I was able to move back and get 2 picks in the 5th round, grabbing Mike Tolbert and C.J. Spiller. I was happy with that as well. So I don't know. I feel pretty good about my draft. We'll see how things turn out when the real games start. But overall, I was pleased as the owner of the D.C. Parliament. Let's see how everybody else felt. Carolina Crush owner Daniel Hager now joining us on the PCFF Live line. Mr. Hager, great draft once again for you and your organization. Had a lot of fun, and looking back on it, overall, how do you feel you did?
I think we did all right. We got some guys that we really wanted. There were some guys that got away, but that's like every draft. You know, you go in hoping for the perfect draft, but rarely does it turn out that way.
It's interesting. Daniel and I were talking trade before the draft for that top pick that I had, the 4th pick overall. And Daniel, I was actually looking at my email, and I was about to send you an email. I didn't send it yet, but I saved it. There was a chance I was going to be late to the draft, and I was going to send you who I wanted. And I guess I can disclose this now. I was going to say if Bradshaw was gone at 3 and you wanted to make the trade at 4, I'll do it. If not, just give me Javid Best. Kind of interesting to see what would have happened there because that turned out to be who you wanted in the first round. But I want to talk about the A.J. Green pick in the fourth round because out of every pick you made, you seemed the most excited about the rookie wide receiver. Why is that?
Yeah, the guy's he's got all the potential in the world. He's got a 6'4" frame. He can get down the field and beat anybody one-on-one. He's kind of like a poor man's Randy Moss. I'm very excited about the pick. Obviously, NFL-wise, I wish he was with a different team. But I do think he will be a factor early and often this season. And you never know. He could be a crush for life. You never know. We'll see how it turns out.
Is he a guy that we'll see in the crush lineup week 1?
Right now, he is slotted as the fourth receiver. Of course, we have a lot of veterans behind him. Actually, Sidney Rice right now would be the fifth receiver, depending on how his connection with Tavares Jackson, that idiot of a quarterback, Pete Carroll's son.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. We also got, guys like Derek Mason, Donald Driver right behind them that can come in and get a couple catches and big first downs for us. But A.J. Green, we love the upside. We like the potential with him, and we'll see. You never know. Still 3 weeks away, so we'll see.
Daniel, we'll get you on for a full podcast later in the year, but thanks for joining us on the draft recap.
Thanks for having me, Cliff. Keep up the good work, buddy.
From one Hager to another, Matt Hager joining us now on the PCFF Live line. Sammy the Shark, how you doing?
Doing well. About yourself?
Doing great. Recapping the draft. What's that?
So thanks for having me.
This is good. This is going perfect. Yeah, thank you for joining us. All right, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
None of this is getting edited out, by the way. Matt,
perfect.
Gotten off to a great start to this interview, and you got off to a great start in your draft. It started, in my opinion, early on, but how about the round 3 pick where you traded up with DC? So this pick affected me personally. But you really wanted a guy, and you went out and got him. You got Julio Jones as you move up in the third round to take him, and you're very excited about Julio. Tell us about that pick.
Well, I don't watch a lot of college football, but I did get a chance to follow Julio in his career. I watched him. I knew he was a good player. I really didn't know he was or realize he was as fast and explosive as he is. It's funny how you watch a player in college, especially receivers for some reason, and you see him in an NFL uniform on an NFL field, and they look like a completely different player.
Yeah.
And we got to look at Julio week 1 of the preseason, and we're blown away. We had him on somewhere between line 1 and line 2, somewhere between top 10 and I guess top 15 on our draft board. So when he was still sitting there early on in the third round, we had an opportunity to move up and get him. We couldn't pass it up. We were fortunate to have 3 fifth-round picks, so we had a little bit to play with, and we couldn't be happier with the pick.
Well, I just talked to your brother, as I mentioned a moment ago. He took another rookie receiver a little later on in the draft, A.J. Green. He said if the season started today, Green would likely be in his lineup. Do you see Julio Jones playing week 1 for you?
Well, we like him to be in our lineup, but we're fortunate that I think we've got the deepest team we've had since 2008, and probably the best team we've had here in Knoxville. And again, we like Julio to be the man. We like him to be our third or fourth wide receiver. Right now, we're probably going to have to lean towards the veteran, Chad Ochocinco on that, as well as Lance Moore, another guy we're really excited about this year. But we could be featuring some 5-wide sets this year, and certainly if that's the case, Julio is going to be a part of that. But again, you don't draft a guy in the third round, trade up to do so, especially so they can sit on your bench. So, yeah, we envision Julio being a starter for us eventually. Week 1 right now, I don't know. There's still 3 weeks of preseason football left, so we'll just see how things shake out.
Well, I got to say, the interview started off very shitty, but you really turned it on late, and that's really the key to the PCFF.
We got a lot of stuff going on today. First day of practice, plus my people right now are on the phone with Nevin Shapiro's people, trying to get him come to draft day next year. We feel like he'd probably be a lot of fun to have around.
Yeah.
So like I said, we got a lot of stuff going on. But again, thanks for having me. Couldn't be more excited about the season. This is definitely a nice added feature to the PCFF, and I certainly look forward to getting online and checking it out whenever it goes on the board.
All right, Matt. Well, we will let you go, get back to your work with Nevin and company, and we'll run you down for a full interview on the podcast later this season.
Thanks, Cliff.
Matt Hager there, Daniel Hager before that, Chicago Cartel owner Brock Letchworth coming up when we return on the PCFF podcast.